Hey everyone, welcome back to Living Survival. My name is Ben and we have a great new flashlight today from Skilhunt. It's their M300. It's the first Skilhunt that I've ever shown on the channel, and boy oh boy did it take me a few days to learn how to use it. It is highly customizable, one of the most customizable flashlights that I've ever seen. Some of you are going to like that, others prefer just a simple on-off in several different modes, but it's got tons of different features. I'm going to try to get right to the point and go through all of those for you today, coming up right now. So let's just jump right in. This is the Skilhunt M300, the first Skilhunt that I've had on the channel, and definitely the most advanced when it comes to the operation of this flashlight. It's got so many features on it. The only other flashlights that come close as to being able to custom program light levels, for example, is Claris. Some of their models you can put in a couple different modes, whether it be like a tactical mode or just a general use mode. This one has two modes as well, an A mode group and a B mode group, and you can switch between those and you can do different things between those groups. But before we go into that, let me take you around the outside of this flashlight. It is really well built, definitely up there with a lot of the other flashlights that I've reviewed. Again, it's my first from Skilhunt, but pleasantly surprised with how well it is built. Body-wise, it is beautiful. You've got the aluminum alloy, you've got a couple PVD coated parts, such as the ring around the mode button and the bezel up front. It has the XHP 35 LED beautifully centered in there with a smooth reflector, and will pump out, with the right battery, an 8 amp discharge or better, a max of 2000 lumens. So really bright for its size. It isn't the smallest 18650 flashlight that we've reviewed, but it does have a really nice form factor, and of course it is drop resistant and also IPX water resistant. I was also pleased to see that the O-ring and the grooves on the tail cap are well lubricated, something that manufacturers seem to be forgetting in more and more of the flashlights that I check out. It does have the spring on the inside as well as the spring on the tail cap, so it is going to give it that impact resistance, and you can actually pop this spring out right here and remove the magnet that's in there. So for me, that's probably my preference, even though it is a strong magnet and will hold this light up on something like a toolbox, for example, or maybe the hood of the car if you're working, on the engine or something. Those are the times where you'd really like to have that magnet. But for just general use, especially if you're going to put it in your pocket, I like to take that magnet out so it's not sticking to everything. So it is good that they give you that option to remove that magnet. It does have a nice sturdy deep carry pocket clip, so that's beautiful. Again, great form factor. The M300 is also USB rechargeable. It is a magnetic charging port, one of the best that I've seen. Olight does a lot of magnetic recharging. I actually like their charger from Skilhunt a little bit better. Of course, the advantage to the magnetic charging is that you're not going to get any dust or water in the charging port, as you could possibly do with standard micro USB. The drawback being that if you just want to carry one cable, being micro USB for other devices, you are going to have to carry this cable along with this light. But something that I use around the home, or something that I would charge up before taking it out, not so much of a big deal. And if I did need to use it for a specific application, I could just grab that cable and go. When charging, the LED on the cable is red, and when you're fully charged, it turns to blue. Single side mode activation for this flashlight. There is no tail clicky, so everything is done with this mode button. It can get kind of confusing. You're definitely going to want to refer to the manual on how to switch modes, but if you just want to use it as a standard flashlight, it becomes pretty easy. Now, there are indications on this mode button, so I'll roll in some other clips so you can see that. You're not going to be able to see that out in the daylight today. This light does have a manual lockout, of course. You can just unscrew the tail cap, a couple twists. That's something that you really want to look for with a side mode button activated flashlight, so it doesn't go off in your pocket, doesn't go off in a pack. But you can also lock the flashlight electronically with the mode button. So you just hold it down there till you get a couple flashes and the light is locked out. So if I go ahead and continue to press this, it's not going to enable the flashlight until I hold it down again, and you get those flashes again, and now the flashlight becomes operable again. One other thing you can do when the flashlight is locked out is turn on an indicator. So when you have it locked out, you can double click the mode button and then the LED here is going to flash. Really handy if you have it on a bedside table or you have it in a kitchen, for example. You can see that flash and you can know right where your flashlight is. So you can turn that on when the light is locked out. Otherwise, when you're unlocked and you're just using the flashlight in its normal modes, every time you turn the light on, you're going to get an indicator as well. So if the indicator is solid blue, that means the battery is 100 to 80%. If it's flashing blue, that means you're 80 to 50%. If it's red, that means you're 50% to 20%. And if it's flashing red, you are under 20%. So you do have a couple different levels there as far as battery indication goes. I know that some of you have commented that you don't like it when it only has maybe like a blue when it's got battery power and a red when it's time to charge, and would like to have several different steps in there. So this one definitely has several different steps when it comes to the status of your battery. So the main draw to this light, other than it is built well, magnetic, rechargeable, and bright, is that it offers a ton of customization. A mode gives you 8 different outputs to select, as well as 3 different strobe modes, and B mode is going to give you customized levels where you can actually go through the different brightness levels and turn them on or off. So if you just wanted a really low, you could turn that on, and the really high, you could turn that on. You could turn off everything in between. So B mode gives you the sort of on-off capability of the lighting modes, and the A mode allows you to switch while the light is on. The first thing you need to know is how to switch between the A mode and the B mode, and it's really similar to the lockout. You just hold down the side mode button from off. It's going to go past the lockout, and then you're going to get several flashes. So if we hold the button down on the side, you're going to get the lockout flash, and then you keep holding it down and you're going to get several different slower flashes, and that means that you've switched into the other mode. So that would be B mode. If we want to switch it back, we just hold it down again. It's going to go through the lockout and then flash again slowly, and we know we've switched back into that A mode. When you turn the light on, you're going to come back to your last memorized brightness. You do just continue to press the button to scroll through your different outputs. So there we have a low, a medium, a high, and then on up to our turbo. Now what I can do is on that low, for example, it's hard to see in the daytime, but I can double click and I can give it a little bit of a higher low. So we can go on to the next one, and I can give that a little bit of a higher medium. Go on to the next one, I can give that one a higher or a lower high, and then we go to our brightest, and I can give that a higher or a lower turbo, depending on just by double clicking the switch there. So what I usually do is I would go to the low, and I'm going to turn that on the lowest low. So I just double click there. Now I'm on the lowest low. Going up to my next one, probably want to keep that on a lower mode as well. I sort of like a lot of low modes and then just one brightness or one super bright mode. So I'll keep going up. This is the high. I'm going to turn that back down to the lower high, go back up to turbo, and that one I want to keep on the high. So I'll keep it right there. Hold it down to save it. Also holding down is going to turn off the light. So now when I turn on the light, it's going to go through my different, those 4 different outputs that I selected. So I've got my turbo, I've got my really low, my medium, my high, and any one of those outputs you could switch it to the L1 or the L2 or the M1 or the M2, so on and so forth. So I hope that makes sense. There's 8 outputs, but you can choose between them for which levels you want set up. If you don't want to use any levels at all, you can just use the flashlight as normal, and it's just going to go on whatever you had it last. On A mode, when it's off, similar to other flashlights, you can just hold it down. That's going to get you to your lowest mode, no matter which one you have it in there. Go ahead and turn it off again. You can double click, that'll get you to your highest mode, and then you can triple click, and that'll get you into your strobe modes. So we have sort of a beacon there. We can double click it, and that'll go to a different flashing sort of beacon there. Then we can double click it again, and that'll get you to your regular strobe. All right, so we're gonna flip on over to the B mode. Again, we just hold the light down from off. You're gonna go through the lockout mode, and then it's gonna flash, and we're gonna know we're into the B mode. Now, again, it did take me, a couple days of playing around with this light to figure all this out. Once in B mode, operation becomes a little bit different, so you do still single click to turn the light on. Again, it's going into its lowest low mode there, but instead of tapping the button to cycle through the modes, you hold it down to cycle through the modes. So depending on which flashlights you've had in the past, some you tap to cycle through the modes and some you hold down to cycle through the modes. So it's really, hey friend, so it's really up to you which one you like. If you do like that holding down, of course you can just keep it in the B mode. So A mode, again, gave you 8 outputs, 3 different strobes. B mode gives you customized outputs that you can turn on or turn off. Just like in A mode, when the flashlight is off, you can hold the button down to get to your low, and you can double click it to get to your high. Something that we've become familiar with other flashlights. I really like when they give it that capability. So that capability is both on A mode and B mode, which is nice. Now, to get into where you can actually edit the levels, again, you're going to need to see this output here. Not going to be able to see it in the daytime, but basically it's going to go through the light levels when I get it into this mode, and I can either turn them on or turn them off. When the red light is on, that means it's selected, and when it's off, it means it's not selected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn the light on here, and then I'm going to triple click, and this light is actually going to go through its different light levels here. So we can sit here and watch it a moment. We've got our turbo 2, low 1, low 2, and so on and so forth. It'll go through all 8 of those outputs. Now each time it's doing that, it's giving me an indication on the side mode button here. It's either turning on or turning off red. So if you wanted to turn off everything except the lowest and the highest, you could do that. When it gets to the highest, just make sure you have the red light there, and then everything else, just turn it off by single clicking. And then you just hold it down to save it. Light goes off and you're saved. So then if you did that, you would only have a low and a high mode when you turn the light on. One last thing I wanted to show you with the strobe that you triple click to get to on the mode B is that you can change the brightness of it. So if I double click, that again switches between my modes, whether you want the strobe, you want just the beacon there, or you want the flash. We can go back to the strobe, and then basically you're going to hold it down and it'll give you a brighter or a less bright strobe mode. Now I'm not sure you can really see that on my hands there, and I'm going to turn it off so I don't freak anybody out, but you hold it down and it changes the brightness just a little bit. So that's a feature that's there. That's a feature that I definitely would most likely never use, but it is there. So tons and tons of features on this light. Does take a little getting used to, but once you get used to it, it's pretty easy to operate, and the customizations are there if you wish to have them. All right, so other than a little bit of a learning curve with this flashlight, I do have 2 cons. One is in the A mode. If you just continue to click the button, you run the risk of it changing those outputs. Remember, you double click to get to the L1, L2, the sub modes. So if you're just clicking away, those sub modes will get all goofed up. Now, it doesn't really matter, but that's going to happen if you keep clicking away. So you really got to stick to the clicks that it takes to set those up, which is a double click when the light is on. And if you just go crazy with the light and get frustrated with it, you're going to change those sub modes. So that's definitely a con to having so many modes built in to this mode button here. And on mode button or mode B, the con is that you could accidentally lock the light out. Since you hold the button down to switch light levels in the B mode, whereas you just tap it in the A mode, sometimes you can do that from off and you'll end up locking the light out, and then you'll be confused because every time you hit the mode button you get the single flash, and what you've done is you've locked the light out. So a couple cons definitely that go along with having so much customization, the ability to customize so much on this light is that you can put it into different modes that you have no idea what's going on, and you just kind of have to regroup and figure it back out. But once you figure it out, it's definitely an advanced light, and definitely probably would appeal to those that want a lot of customization ability on their flashlight. I told you it had a lot of options on it, and boy oh boy does it. It's also got a pretty good price, so I'm going to put a link below in the description if this is something that appeals to you. Again, some people are really going to love the fact that they can change it and make it do what, what you want it for specific applications. Other people just like to grab their flashlight and go. So let me know in the comments section if you made it this far in the video. Go ahead and type "made it" down in the comment section. Let me know if you like this flashlight or not. Please share this video to any friends or family on your social media if you think they would like this light. And as always, if you haven't already done so, please click that red subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified of new videos. And I totally forgot to say, give this video a big thumbs up.